afternoon, boys and girls. Welcome back to the shop. It's been about 2 weeks since we were out here playing with our Johnson, and I think it's about time we get back to it. Deer season here in Wisconsin is just a pretty busy time. Not much else to do besides hunt. But anyway, what we're going to tackle today is the exhaust on this old girl. If you remember from where we picked up, or left off I should say, we had essentially just straight piped it and needed to figure out what we were going to do here from the outlet at the chassis to just kind of finish off the exhaust and give it some sort of a muffler to quiet it down a little bit and add a little back pressure for the old rotary. So I think what I had mentioned was I wanted to get some sort of motorcycle muffler. That just seemed to be the easiest thing to do. Whether it works well or not remains to be seen. But we're going to get it on there, and the idea is that it's going to end right about here with the chrome grab bar. So I did order a muffler off Amazon, and I do have a couple of bends from the old Suzuki 230 muffler. I was kind of just hacking up the head pipe on that and using that for the bends that I needed. And like I said, the majority of it kind of got us right to the edge of the chassis where we needed to be. And now we need some sort of 90 or sweep that's going to bring us back along the chassis into our muffler. So this is what I got set up over here so far. So this is more or less the configuration that we're going to try and go with. I just ordered a chrome megaphone off of Amazon. I think it was like 50 bucks. I thought that would look kind of cool on there. Sort of fits the 70s era, if you ask me. That's when a lot of those megaphones were on bikes like that, 70s and 80s. But yeah, I don't know what else to do for an exhaust, really. That was the best thing I could come up with. And who knows what it's going to sound like. I've used those before on old like Honda, what are they, like CL 360s and stuff like that. The old little Japanese bikes, and they sound pretty good. They have a nice deep tone to them, so it'll be interesting to see what they sound like on the rotary. And then we just have this little 90-degree bend, or I guess it's a little bit wider than a 90, but hopefully that'll work, off of the head pipe from the Suzuki. And then just a couple of couplers or reducers there from the Irish Auto folks here in town. This one, I think I'm just going to be able to separate it right there at the reducer. All we need is the smaller piece of that pipe, and thankfully the outside diameter of the pipe on the Suzuki is the perfect inside diameter to match that reducer. So that's what we're going to do. We'll have to hack off that lip there on that pipe, and then if I measured this correctly, this should slide right into there, and we can just clamp it all down there. And the muffler has its own sort of integrated hanger there, so what we'll have to do is pop a hole in the side of the chassis, run a bolt in there, and that should really be all we have to do to just get the whole thing secured with that one bolt, because the reducer here fits very snugly around the pipe coming off of the engine anyway, so I don't think it's going to take any more than that to secure it, but if it does, we'll rig up something else. But let's get cutting and welding and see how far we can get on this afternoon. So that's about the angle that we're looking for there. It's a little bit steeper than I'd like it to be. But we can make that work. We'll just have to stitch a little bit of a gap there. You can see, I mean, it's maybe an 1/8 inch, closer to a 1/16, I think, but that shouldn't be too big of a deal. I mean, the whole thing's a half project anyway, so who cares, right? Alright, let's see if we can get that tacked in place relatively semi-sorta kind of the way it needs to be. test fit that and see how bad we did. Alright, so I just test fit that and it's actually not terrible, so we're going to go ahead and stitch that closed, and then we'll, I suppose, weld this guy on right away. And then after that I think we can go ahead and drill the hole in the chassis and we'll be able to bolt it up, and I mean that should be really all we have to do. So, let's get it done. Well, it ain't pretty, but it'll do the job. Let's go test fit it. Alright, so we got our hole marked out down there for the hanger. Let's try to figure out what size we got here. And then we'll go drill that. It's gotta be 3/8 size, I think, huh? Yeah, we'll call that 3/8. Might be a little snug, but we'll make it work. Well, you know, a little heat wrap and maybe welding that instead of having that stupid clamp there, and I think that looks just like it's meant to be there. But I mean, of course, the real question is, how does it sound, right? So I don't know, gotta find out. And the other question is that ski gonna clear? It definitely looks like it will, but let's give that a shot real quick. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. I don't anticipate it being a problem anyway, so. Well, I could throw the belt on it and the hood, put everything else back together, but I don't think I have the patience to do that. I kind of want to fire it up right now and just see what it sounds like, so. You already know what we're going to do, let's do it. Well, the old girl hasn't run in about 2.5, 3 weeks now, so I don't know. Take a guess at how many pulls it's going to take, or if we're going to have to cheat and use the electric start. I'm going to say 3 pulls. Well, I tell you what, got a little more than I bargained for with that exhaust. Rode it for about, I don't know, 5 minutes if that. Just once or twice around the yard here, and man, I'm deaf still. Thought that would have been slightly better than straight piped, but yeah, still way too loud. I don't know what I'm gonna do. If maybe I could run a pipe all the way down, you know, the full length of the chassis, and then have that exit at the rear. That would quiet it down for me a little bit while riding it anyway. I don't know if that would make it much quieter for those in the surrounding area. But I never really planned on trail riding this thing anyway. As you can see, it's got absolutely no rear suspension to speak of. Didn't when it was brand new from the factory, but you know, especially not now. Those old bogies underneath there are all crusty and cracking apart and everything. If you actually look at it from the front, it looks like something on the, well, our right side, the rider's left side, looks like something kind of collapsed there, and she's leaning this way a little bit, but I don't know what that is, and I'm not going to bother to look right now either. But I would call that a successful revival. It's actually got quite a bit of snot. Got up and went a little bit quicker than I expected there. If I could get that engine tuned properly with the correct exhaust, I think it would rip pretty good. But right now, up towards the top end, she's doing a lot of popping and sputtering. So I'm sure it needs a little bit more back pressure, a little bit more of an actual exhaust. I don't really know, you know, what. I mean, I've seen rotary straight piped with like 3 inches of pipe, and you know, obviously they're probably more happier with a full custom exhaust. I don't know. This is the first one I've ever owned, but anyway, kind of just rambling here. But all in all, I don't know why. I just feel like rotaries are probably a little bit more delicate than you know, your standard piston engine. If I'm wrong about that, let me know. But I don't want to rip on it too much. Kind of a cool old machine. I don't know if I'm gonna, you know, keep hacking it up. Thought about grabbing like an SC10 or SC10-3 or maybe even 4 out of a Rev or something like that, and trying to throw it underneath the back end of this. That'd be kind of cool. Just update the suspension a little bit. Obviously not that's obviously not going to be a cost-effective project by any means, but I don't know, I think it'd be kind of cool. But or maybe we'll just leave it alone and take it to vintage shows and, you know, make people go deaf like all those guys like to do anyway. But for now, I think I'm gonna call her there. We'll see what happens the rest of the winter with it. I don't know. For now, I think it's gonna get shoved back into a corner. I got a lot of other stuff to work on. I want to get going on the old Layton, the camper. Kind of hoping to have that refinished and you know, kind of usable by next summer. We'll see what happens. And sometime between now and, I don't know, the last couple of weeks, the rear main seal on the F-250 really headed out to lunch. Not sure when that happened, but got to do something about that. Really don't want to be dicking around with that too much right now. Really don't feel like pulling the engine to replace that, so I don't know, maybe we'll just throw some cardboard under it like we do with everything else and call it good. But that's actually a fairly significant leak there, so no shortage of stuff to work on as usual. Still got to get the fluids changed in the white. Went through 2 1-foot plus snowfalls with that without changing any of the fluids in it from last year. Kind of neglecting the maintenance this year, but winter came a little bit earlier than we were expecting, right at the end of gun deer season there, so we haven't had a whole lot of time to work on stuff. But thankfully this is the first weekend I've had at home since, well, since the end of gun deer season, which is going on about a month ago now. And as you can see, most of our snow that we had there was kind of melted. It hit about 60 degrees in the middle of this week, and really did a toll on everything that we had piled up there. You know, took quite a bit of branches down off of the trees. As you can see out there, I got a big pile of pine trees up by the driveway coming into the house. I got to get those cut up tomorrow. So as always, no shortage of work to be done, and a hefty shortage of time to do it in. So, but this was a pretty fun early winter project. I enjoyed doing it. If you have any suggestions as to what to do with that exhaust, let me know. I don't know what to do with it. That muffler was kind of cool. I only paid like 50 bucks for it, and I have a plethora of other things around here that I could toss it on if I decide to not use it with this. I doubt we'll be throwing the stock muffler back in here. I just absolutely kind of despise the way those sound. So, but I would like to get something that's slightly quieter. So we'll see what we can do with that in the future. But for now, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the little 3-part series. If you have any questions about the machine or anything like that, any suggestions of, you know, something I should do with it, or if you know anybody in northeastern Wisconsin that's looking for one, just drop a line down there in the comments, and maybe it can go to a better home than mine, because you know what's going to happen to it here. We're just going to keep hacking it up and blowing it up and having a good time with it. So if there's a purist out there that would appreciate it more than I do, then you're welcome to it. But I suppose for now that's going to do it. I'm going to head in the house, have some dinner, relax a little bit, and then get back out here bright and early tomorrow and probably start working on that old girl. Actually, who am I kidding? I got trees to cut up, but we'll see what happens. Thanks guys for watching, and I guess we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.